Hey everyone, Digital Sticks yet again. And listen, I know I'm overkilling this right now, but I'm doing it because it's hype season. There's a new product out. People are hyped about it. It's shipping soon. And now is the time for people to know what they need to know to get the VR they actually hope to get. Especially with VR chat, especially with there only being one device that'll actually do it right. There is no such thing, unfortunately, as a quality budget device for VR chat. That's what we wrestle with and try to make the recommendations for, and we don't get around to just acknowledging just simply to ourselves when we're trying to help somebody with the devices. There's no such thing as a quality, sure thing budget device for VR chat. There should be, and that's part of where some of my other videos go to. And so real quick, I just want to say where Valve blew it was building a premium device instead of building a quality budget device. But that's showing up and becoming increasingly obvious now. As somebody that was already using a quality budget / premium device with the CV1, I was happy to have a true upgrade path when I decided to upgrade. I was glad that somebody created a premium device when Oculus was making cheap devices. I was so happy to have a premium device. I enjoy the premium features of the device. I was glad it was there, but now here we are, well over a year, about almost closing in on, well, a year and a half since launch. And we don't have a solid budget device. There is no solid base level VR device for anybody to choose for PC VR. Excuse me. Dang it, I ate almonds and that's catching me now. There is no solid budget level, entry level device, period. That was not the case when Valve designed the Index. The only options on the table were people making quality devices. The Oculus and the Vive kits were essentially neck and neck spec-wise, and the differences were 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It was basically two different approaches to the same objective, and then people were having to decide between what they liked better out of the two different approaches. And the biggest dilemma was VR chat. No surprise there, because full body tracking was so great, but so was touch sensitivity intuitively the way it was designed into the Oculus Touch controllers. Lo and behold, the hybrid solution came around, and because of the only options being either the Vive with wands or the Rift with touch controllers, that hybrid setup was pretty awesome. Could still have the intuitive gestures with the touch, and you could add full body functionality. There were some limitations and hiccups to it, but for all things considered, for somebody like myself, really liking the Rift as it sat, also considering the price difference between the Rift and the CV1, having the option for the hybrid setup was just flat out awesome, and that really seemed to be the setup to have. The only thing that changed that scenario was the Index, because suddenly now there was a really good controller. Listen, the finger tracking is cool, it's fun, it's great, but if all the Index controller had offered was the basic button layout, but was touch sensitivity for those buttons, if it was essentially a SteamVR Oculus Touch, that's all it would have needed to please Vive owners and for getting anybody over the fence who was using a hybrid setup eventually. The finger tracking is phenomenal. It's great. I mean, I'm not complaining about it. It's really cool. I'm glad that they took it to another level. But if it just had touch sensitivity and reasonable buttons, thumbsticks, that was all it was needed to create a winning all-in-one platform for the people already familiar with where VR was in that first generation. So Valve blew it because they went for the premium device. But I seriously doubt they knew, for at least not as a fact. Maybe they did. Maybe there's some collaboration behind the scenes, but I just don't think they were aware that the situation was going to change and that they would have the only complete device on the market. You know, it probably didn't hurt their feelings to be the only premium device on the market, but I don't know if they realized the implications of being the only complete device on the market. And some people say there's no such thing as a perfect headset. That's fine. You can say that. That's true, okay? I mean, we can find some reason we'd want something better, but there is such a thing as a complete headset. A complete headset has quality tracking sufficient for every experience a person wants to do in VR. It has touch capability with controllers because that's been an industry standard for a while. It definitely works out. It helps with immersion. It's there. You don't have to have finger tracking. Isn't an industry standard yet, but some kind of touch input is very useful in VR. Quality audio, because we have quality audio, or we prefer to, or we want to in real life, we should have it in VR. And yes, visual fidelity. Obviously, there's a level of visual fidelity that's needed. Now, there is premium levels to take it even a step further, but there is a level. Case in point, everyone likes HD. We're used to it now. It's the standard. And now some people, a lot of people are now up to 4K. That's the standard. Some people are pushing for 8K. But the reality is, most of us grew up on standard, well, not most of us, but my generation grew up on standard definition television, and they were still addicted to TV. So visual fidelity is great to improve, but it's not the deal maker or deal breaker in most cases past a certain point. I mean, once you went from black and white to color, standard definition TV was pretty much where it needed to be for most people for a while. VR is the same way. Once the visuals left something to be desired on the original Vive and on the original Rift, but they were still sufficient for VR to be amazing. But once you got past the visual quality that you have with a Quest or a Rift S, and anything above that, visual fidelity as the main thing is done. It's checked off. I mean, people don't admit that. People don't acknowledge that. People want better. And so it's crazily overvalued as a standard for comparing headsets and as a spec to boast about on a new design. And the consequence of that overvaluing is that has been Mark Zuckerberg's ticket to creating junk devices with a selling point and a cheap, gimmicky price. And the consequence of that is now there is no such thing as a budget complete VR headset. You can't simply get a CV1 with better visuals. But the majority of people who had a CV1 would simply prefer a CV1 with better visuals to anything else Oculus has offered since. Now, some people really hated having to set up those sensors, and yes, that was less than ideal. When it comes to setting up sensors, Oculus setup was terrible on setup. But as much as they're hyping inside-out tracking now, the truth is the base stations were straightforward and simple. Okay, you can't get any easier, and they're not a headache to hassle with at all. It's nothing. I mean, if you're intimidated by mounting something to the wall, then yeah, you got to get past that intimidation. Some people rant, blah, blah, blah. So there are some drawbacks, but it's not difficult, and it's not even troublesome. Like the Oculus had to have a USB port for every camera. That gets difficult to deal with. The base stations do not require that. You just have to have power to the base station, and you're good. So, we're fast forward, that's where Valve screwed up, and I don't think they were aware they were screwing up. I don't think they would have made this mistake if they had known this environment was coming. If they had a budget headset on the market instead of a premium headset, Valve would be dominating things, and even to this point, there would be no competition except if Valve had a budget headset on the market, I bet you the Quest 2 would not exist in its present form. Because if the Quest 2 was competing with a $500, $600, or $700 kit that was complete, the Quest 2 at $300 would not sell, except as a mobile console to some people without gaming PCs. The reason the Quest 2 is possible and selling is because there's nothing else that people can choose from that just simply want a quality experience but aren't trying to go crazy on their investment from the get-go, which is understandable, especially when they don't even know for a fact what they're getting into. Only that people seem to like VR. So I've covered this in many different ways, but this video here, I just want to get straight to the point. And the fact is, that's where Valve blew it. You know, we talk about how great the index is because we're having to justify the index for its price. And it is justified for its price. When it comes to experiences, your best value in VR is an index kit. If you're trying to just simply buy a kit and play the game and have the options you're going to want when you discover something like VR chat and just about any other game, there is no game you can want to play that the index isn't going to do great. Now, some people are going to make a bigger deal out of wireless and they want to do the setups to make Quest do PCVR wireless or whatever. That's fine. It's legitimate that could be they like that more than what's missing. But the truth is, for the quality VR experiences, the elements that the index has are necessary. Not necessarily to the level and quality that the index has them, but certainly to the features are needed. The audio needs to be quality. Quality. You should not, headphones should be only a matter of personal preference, not a matter of necessity. And of course, yes, there is some audio, but if you want quality of any kind, you have to use headphones with all the new Oculus products. Period. I don't know how much Valve solutions cost, but even just basic quality earphones on the headset itself was great on the CV1. I like the new Valve setup, but if they can't do that as a budget option, just to simply have no definite need for headphones with a headset because it already has something quality on it, would be enough for a complete headset. Again, I like the finger tracking, but to just have a capacitive touch ergonomic controller that works with SteamVR would have been enough for a quality complete headset. I like having trackers and having that functionality. The best part about SteamVR is having that functionality costs nothing. It will cost something to add it to a Quest or another brand. It costs nothing as a bonus feature of a SteamVR kit. So if Steam had made a budget kit, bam, that's probably the winning feature right there, and it costs them nothing. So it's already there. What else? Comfort. Valve knows how to do comfort. Now, these are both premium headsets that they've demonstrated their comfort technology on, the Index and the Reverb G2. But I bet you they know how to do it reasonable. If the CV1 was comfortable, no doubt Valve can make a budget comfortable headset. They can tone it down a notch and still have it great. I bet they could even leave the magnetic, easily changeable and cleanable face shields on a budget headset, adding a premium feature that doesn't necessitate a premium price. Panels. Clearly, as much as it's cool to have options to go 144 hertz and all of that, I mean, they pulled off the Quest with 72 and then pulled off the Rift S with 80, and now the Reverb G2 is being raved about for 90. So anything with 90, Valve could have pulled off. And probably, while they're at it, could have even considered still sticking with an OLED panel that was better than the original generations, but still an OLED panel that was equal to the Quest on a quality, comfortable PCVR headset in a budget offering. Those vibrant colors, other things would have higher resolution, but I guarantee you that would be a well-loved budget headset, and it would be a great option for people who still like dark colors and all of that. So all these things considered, what would be more exciting right now for VR's future would not be an Index 2. Let Reverb G2 have its day in the sun as the highest resolution. would be more exciting for VR's future is for Valve to create the budget option that we desperately need so that when someone asks what VR to buy, it's a no-brainer. It's not an argument. It's not trying to teach somebody every single detail about VR, but simply say, yo, Valve has this, and I have no idea what they will call it, but this straightforward budget headset. I would say anything $700 or less that's a complete SteamVR tracked system with all the components in place for basic quality VR would be an everything else killer. Except for nothing's going to kill people that have to have there will always be a market for premium if somebody wants to cater to them. So we can still have premium, but if Valve created a budget option, gimmicks will be dead. You would have to choose to be stupid to buy a gimmick instead of suckered in to a gimmick price alone. I'm Digital Sticks. Thank you for watching. Again, I know I'm overkilling this topic, but it is a hype season. It is a time to try to reach people that are interested, to help them understand. It is a time to reason together. If we like this hobby, let's unite and try to promote and encourage and demand things that are sensible and actually going to lead in the direction of stuff we like. Because we didn't get here by a company being cheap and producing gimmicks. We are enjoying the fruits of the original head start of people trying to build a quality entertainment option and even having visions for VR being much more useful than it's been so far. But it's a quality medium and people were passionate about it. That passion is not what's being reflected in gimmicks trying to entrap people. The passion that the original people had was for a medium and a technology and devices that were going to attract people and offer them something that they wanted a piece of. Not something that like, oh, sure, why not? It's so cheap, I'll grab it. I'm Digital Six again, still am, a couple minutes later, and I am out. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.